everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you another page in my junk journal. As you guys know, I have been trying to do this every day in the morning as part of my year-long idea of getting more serenity in my life. So I get up, I get some tea, let the dog out, and then I I sit down, try to listen to calming music, and put on my paint shirt and get down to business. So I've been reading a book. I've told you guys before I like to read fantasy books. Um, that's how I sleep at night. Otherwise, I can't go to sleep. I have to shut my brain off by reading or putting myself into another world. Otherwise, everything just keeps going through my head and I can't stop thinking about stuff. So, I've been reading a book called The Gathering, and I've really been enjoying it because it is about being one with nature and thinking about preserving our natural world and also thinking about spirituality as it relates to yourself. And it's of course it's a fantasy book, so it's about these people who live somewhere in an isolated community in England or maybe Scotland. I think it might be Scotland actually, so it would be Great Britain, and they are Druids. So they have a grove, and so they practice the pagan religion of Druidism. But it's not really about that. It's about, well, it kind of is, but it's about how the head one can like go into the past in the spirit world and talk to her ancestors and interact with them and learn about stuff, and also live through past lives and past pain and learn to grow through it and learn something in this life in relationship to other lives. Also about preserving the land and preserving the creatures and animal spirit guides. I mean, it's a lot of really cool stuff. And then the one of the main characters in the book is an artist, and she's always drawn to forest sprites and foxes and woodland creatures, even though she lives a very different life. She's always liked to draw these things, and her family doesn't support her art and thinks she's a little bit crazy. In fact, they think that she's got some mental illness, but then she finds out that she's actually adopted. And anyway, she finds out that she's from the people from the Grove. Anyway, it's interesting, and it has a lot of, even though it's a fantasy story about characters that are not real, it has a lot of the themes that I've been thinking about in my life this year. So that's what this page is about. I, of course, just have junk in here, and one of the things was this card that had this little deer on the front of it. And I don't even know what's on the other side of it, actually. I think it's a card, or it might have been an advertisement of some sort, but I sewed it in there. And when I saw the deer, and the deer has, I don't know if you guys can see from the video, the deer has flowers on its antlers. And so I kind of thought it was a little bit of a fairy tale fantasy type of a deer, and or stag, I guess, if it has antlers. I don't know. Anyway, another thing I don't know. Boy, I don't know a lot of things. But it inspired me to do the page. So I started out with some sepia ink. I knew it was going to need to have these browns and greens. And so started out with sepia ink, some white gesso, and then a little bit of a green gold ink. These are both acrylic inks. And I just kind of smeared them around on the page. The left-hand side is inkjet printer paper that has printing on it, but I glued two pieces of it together with a glue stick to make it a little bit thicker, and so the print is on the inside, so we don't really see it. But by the time I put the watery inks watered down and smeared with water, and then also the gesso smeared in there as well, you can't see anything through it anyway. So then I did my whimsical drawing of my woodland sprite type person with antlers and everything, and flowers in her hair with a dark brown ink tense pencil. I started using these again. I didn't use them for the longest time, but recently when I was clearing everything out, I took all my different mark making tools, pencils, gel sticks, pens, all that stuff, and I sorted them into these little baskets and put a little hang tag on them. And then I stacked the baskets on a shelf. And I can see what I have. I can grab a basket. I don't have to go into a drawer, find a tin, open a tin. I still don't have my regular color pencils like that, but all the rest, most of my writing implement type mark making things are now in these little baskets. And you've seen me bring them to the table. Well, the other day I put the Inktense pencils in a basket. I'm like, you know what? These things are really great for mixed media because they'll write over acrylic paint. Also, they have that strange, unique property that most watercolor pencils don't have, which is that once you've activated it with water, it dries permanent. I've never actually tested this, but it does say it on the box, so I assume that it's true. So once I made my drawing, then I got out a brush and some water and I activated it. I went around and, smeared around and put water on all the different lines. And that, of course, then brings in the very deep shadows. I was looking for deep, dark shadows. And because to me, serenity, one of the things that the word serenity, which I'm trying to achieve in this year, reminds me of the quiet of being in the forest. And I don't get to do that very often because I live in Arizona. We do have saguaros, which are kind of like a forest, and you can go out. If you hike out into an area that has the big saguaros completely surround you, and if you're by yourself, you could achieve that type of a feeling. But I just kind of think of like the redwoods in California when I was visiting there with my friend. I guess in the summer or was it the spring? Anyway, I went on a driving trip and we went to these giant trees. And I've been worrying about those trees because of those horrible fires not that long after we went there. I don't know if they got damaged. I'm sure that they did get damaged, but they've lived through forest fires before. But just the intense quiet of being under those trees if no one else is there or if the people you're with are being quiet. That is one of my concepts of serenity. So I went with deep colors. I went with dark shadows. I wanted to invoke that kind of an idea that this woodland sprite is living somewhere out in the forest without any fussing about the news on the TV and the pandemic and the political crap. And she's just out there and it's so serene. Just like the deer would be. I mean, the deer's not going to mess with that stuff, right? Deer's going to be out there in the woods doing deer stuff. Yeah, not fussing with all the crazy stuff. So I'm going back and forth between the pencils, and I did bring in like a deep red and I think like a deep orange, another form of the green, but they're all the Inktense pencils. And then I'm using the brush to activate them, and I'm using the white gesso to lighten things up where I need to add contrast. So I think that's all I used. I started out with the acrylic inks for the background, but then immediately went to the pencils and the the gesso. So the texture of it at the end ends up being very matte because gesso dries matte and the pencils don't have any sheen to them really. So it's quite matte on the page. Coming back in with the dark pencil again, deepening up the areas around the eyes and around the nostrils and around the outside of the face where the hair and flowers would be hanging over. Really making everything deep and dark. On the other side of the page, all I did was I watercolored out the edge of the paper that card has got glued to the other side, and then I added a tree, which is die cut, stamped and die cut from back at Christmas time when I was making those little ornaments, those 3D. ornaments. I had some of these little trees left. I think I have a couple more still. And I think I end up putting another one on there. But this was fun. Just in my journal, quiet music, just drawing and painting, and no pressure. So now I get out a Posca pen because I really need, in order to have true contrast of something very, very deep, you also need bright against it, right? Or else there's no contrast. So I got the white Posca pen and I lightened up and put some light in her eyes so that she's not looking so dull. And then I just started adding the white highlight lines that I like to do in my illustrations around everything else because I like to do it. I do it quickly. It's not fussy. Just quick. So adding that white in really, I think, brings things to life, and it's more like an illustration than a painting. I think it's a combo. Then back in with the red again, here and there, just going back and forth. And I think that's how you do a whimsical portrait like this, is to add some, take some away, add some, take some away, going back and forth, blending, adding more, maybe adding some gesso, just layers until you're happy with the intensity of what you've created. So I had fun doing that. I haven't drawn a whimsical face in a long time. I don't tend to do humans. I think if I'm going to make a character, they're very often animals, and lately cats. I've done a lot of cats. You guys haven't seen most of them, but I've done a lot of cats. Just, I don't know. It's because I've been sending these videos back and forth with my best friend. I find them, I see them, for some reason they're offering them to me all the time on Instagram now, dog and cat videos. And if I see a really funny cat video, I send it to her, and then she'll send me a video back or a picture back, or I'll send her a picture, and we've just been going back and forth with cats. Plus, I made her a cat paper painting collage, and I made her daughter a cat watercolor painting and at Christmas time. So I'm just cats everywhere. There's a lot of cats. So this is something a little different. It's not a cat. It's a humanish sort of person. Ish, because she has antlers. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Another page in my junk journal. I hope that you will give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment, and that if you haven't already, you subscribe to my channel. Maybe you want to come over and join us at the art community, Art Joy of Sharing. Maybe you would like to join the membership of my channel. There's just a little join button there. If you happen to be on application, you need to use the join button by using the internet to go to YouTube, not the application. So that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.